right, peace and blessings, everybody. It's Friday, May the 18th, the year 2018. We have mainstream articles going up on Time Magazine about how the FBI and the Department of Justice are corrupt. Praise God for that. Congressional leaders are saying that the Department of Justice and the FBI are lying through their teeth. And then we got this video that just came out this morning, and a friend of mine brought it to my attention, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. It's titled, President Donald Trump Gives Urgent Speech on Prison Reform from the White House. I would offer that it's not just prison reform, it's criminal justice reform. It's not just the prisons that we have to create reform in. We have to create reform in the entire criminal judicial system. It's the courtrooms and the prosecutors and the attorney generals and the FBI that does the investigation and the unethical methods in which they go about entrapping people. I did watch a little bit of this video from Mike Pence, and he seemed to all focus on giving prisoners a second chance when they re-enter society, but he completely avoided talking about, you know, how they're entrapped and they never get a fair trial to begin with. And so I'm concerned that these people are going to miss the point. It's over an hour and 5 minutes long, or an hour and 4 minutes long. I haven't had a chance to listen to it all. I'll try to listen to it in the next week. I'm just so slammed right now. But this does appear to be important, so maybe I'll get a chance to listen to it tonight or maybe in the next few days. But let's listen to Governor Rick Perry, or the ex-Governor Rick Perry of Texas, and let's see what he has to say about this issue.
Most people don't think this is a fixable problem. Rick Perry, is this a fixable problem based on your experience in Texas?
Yeah, absolutely. And Van, thank you for being here. This isn't a Democrat or a Republican issue. This is truly a bipartisan issue. And Jared, I want to say to you and to Ivanka, thank you both for taking this on, because this may be the issue of our generation. And we're seeing places across the country. And I'm going to take it a little step further. And I think you were absolutely correct in picking that narrow victory and that narrow place to focus, so that we could put the marker in the ground with a victory, and it was a resounding one. But what I think is the next obvious step, and it's the one that I share with the president, this is real conservatism, and that is criminal justice reform. And that is being able to clearly make sure that people like you never get there, Topeka. I mean, that's the real victory. Yeah, you made some poor choices. You made a bad choice somewhere in your life, just like all of us have made. But what we were doing in the state of Texas, we were putting young people in prison for really long periods of time. Mary, you and Susanna, our neighboring states, and you all know what we were doing in the state of Texas. And it was a national issue. It started here in the White House back in the early 90s with the mandatory sentencing and the things that, by God, we're going to be hard on crime. And we were. But the result was that we were ruining a lot of lives. Lives that we didn't have to ruin. And I had a Democrat district judge come to me in the early 2000s and said, hey, Perry, how about this? And talk to me about drug courts. And we passed that in the mid-2000s. Then we had prostitution courts, and we had veterans courts, and we made a real difference. And here was the result, Van. By 2013, in a relatively short period of time, like 6-7 years, we had shut down 2 prisons and saved $3 billion in the state of Texas. But Secretary Wilkie, here's the more important thing. The lives that were saved. The lives of the people like Topeka that never went, because we gave those judges the alternatives to sending them to prison with drug rehab programs, with shock probation, with other alternatives. That's real conservatism. That's what we're about in this country. And we can do this at the federal level. States can get out there, and I know, Mary, you're looking at those kind of programs, and Susanna, you over in New Mexico, governors across the country. This is our moment as a country to send a powerful message to the least being able to help themselves in this country. And I want to finish up with this. When this all started back in the early 2000s, General, I had no idea I was going to be indicted. But I was. So this became really personal for me. And the grand jury system became really personal to me about how it's abused. Erica Dockery in Houston, Texas. People like her who basically were threatened with their children being taken away unless they didn't change their testimony, in her case against her boyfriend. This lady, March the 2nd of this year, in a civil rights case in Houston, Texas, it was clearly shown where the district attorney's office knew about the information that would have clearly shown that her boyfriend couldn't have killed that police officer because he was asleep on the couch. But it was kept away from that grand jury. It was kept away. And those types of grand jury reforms in the states, we've got to be courageous to stand up and do. And Brooke and the Texas Public Policy Foundation, they were on the lead of that in Texas. And I'll promise you, Texas, we're going to be back. We're going to be back in 2019, and we're going to talk about these criminal justice reforms in the states and at the federal level, and America is going to be a better place because of what Jared and Ivanka and people like Van and Topeka and you all have worked on together. I mean, God bless you. I'm in the fight.
I'm going to add for just a minute. Woo! I want to add to our great governor, Secretary Perry. My name is Brooke Rollins, as the governor mentioned, but I'll be joining Jared and the Office of American Innovation and Ivanka at the White House in just 2 weeks' time.
Give her a round of applause for that. That's a
Well,
big deal.
no.
That's a big deal.
I'm so pleased. The governor told the great story of Texas, and Governor, not to correct you, but we're now at 8 prisons closed in Texas. But here's what's really, not 2, but 8. But see, this is what happens, I know. But more importantly than that, the crime rate in Texas is down 30% since we've done that. Texas's population has doubled, exploded because of our great job growth, thanks to a great leader. But
all right, I hope you noticed that the title of the video is Prison Reform, but Rick Perry used the phrase criminal justice reform, and he gave an example of a prosecutor that withheld exculpatory evidence. He did kind of dance around the fact that we need just not prison reform and giving prisoners a second chance when they get out of prison, but Rick Perry made the point they should have never been sent there to begin with. That's the issue. He said this could be the issue of our generation. Criminal justice reform. At least it's a start. At least the people are on the stage, and there are a few of them that understand how deep the problem is. And while I'm no fan of any of these people, and I pray to God that God has lit a fire in their heart to do the right thing, at least they're talking about the subject. And I pray that you give them their support when they're doing something that is righteous. And I've always said we need to support those who are supporting the prisoners. And Rick Perry, while I may disagree with him on many things, I do agree with him on this issue. And I do want criminal justice reform in America. When I get a chance, I'll watch the whole video. I pray that you check it out, and you guys let me know what you think. Thank you for your time.